I'm in Las Vegas for the World Series of Poker, and by some miracle, we've made day 2 of a massive 5,000 player event. With well over $2 million in this prize pool, I have punched myself a ticket at Poker Glory. Only 767 people stand in between me and a World Series of Poker bracelet. Let's hop into today's video and see how we fare.
It's day 2 of the $600 Poker News Deep Stack Championship World Series of Poker bracelet event. We've got one of the top 100 stacks, and we're looking for glory. There's nothing's gonna stop us. Let's get over to the World Series of Poker. Today is day 2 at the World Series of Poker. It's 110 degrees here in Las Vegas, Nevada. There's no way I'm going out there to go play poker, not for anything, but what I will do is play on Club GG. If you guys are interested in playing with me, click the link at the top of the description and we can hop on the virtual felt. Outside of that, I hope you guys have a lovely day. Make sure to keep enjoying today's video, like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with your friends and let me know what you guys think about today's video. Now, I've got a poker tournament to get back to, so let's hop right back into it.
We take our seat for our day 2 here at the World Series of Poker. One we haven't had the chance to come by too often, but when we do, we're trying to take advantage of that. This first 10 does so, but in the wrong way. We're playing level 18, which is good for 10,000 big blind, 10,000 big blind ante, and the 5K small blind. Starting with about 375K here. We lost a couple of pots early on in the session, and this is the first one of note. I'm gonna cut off and I look down at Queen 6 offsuit. Although there's not that many people left to act behind me, this hand's just far too weak to continue, and I think that goes without being said. But I'm testing my luck here, trying to see how it looks and how the table is going to play against me, so I raised to 22,000. The button calls, and so does the big blind. Luckily, we do have both players covered, and when the flop comes out giving me top pair, I think this is the first mistake in the hand. The opponent checks to me from the big blind, and I decided to throw out a small c-bet for 20K. I don't mind the sizing, I just don't like that I c-bet here. If we're going to open a hand this garbage and we flop top pair, at face value it seems like a fine spot to continue, but in reality, I think our hand is just really good to play as a check. We're never going to have much worse top pairs than this ever. Literally, this is the worst top pair I'm ever going to have. Maybe Queen 5 suited sometimes I'll open if the adversaries are really weak. But yeah, it's just not a very good hand. I think we should just check it and play and evaluate, but instead I bet 20,000 and the button calls. The turn card now brings the ace of diamonds. Should be a full rainbow board here, so there's not too much of backdoor equity to worry about. So when the action's on me, I don't like what I do once again. I make a bet for 32,000, again going very small. I don't know what I'm targeting here. Am I getting value? Am I merging my hand? Is my hand now a bluff? If I'm bluffing, I should go bigger because we're pretty much targeting just a hand like king, queen, and queen jack, which we're beating obviously, that are beating us that we can get to possibly fold. And they're never going to fold to a small bet like this, even though an ace comes. So don't know what I'm doing. Don't know if I can get value out of worse. There's no draws. So it's pretty much just a bad play all in all. And like a hand like pocket 7s, 8s, 9s are almost never continuing anyways. And we have the board locked up against them. It doesn't make sense to bet. So hate to play there, but here we are making mistakes and I'm going to be transparent about it. The opponent makes a call. Now we're going off to a river card, which comes out an ace pairing the top card. Don't think I can represent that anymore, and I have way too much equity to bluff now, even though that's what we were doing on the turn, I guess. I check it over to my opponent, and he takes a long minute to think about it before eventually throwing out a bet of 65,000 chips. This is a pretty reasonable portion of my current stack, somewhere like 20% or something like that. Something to worry about, and not something I'm super ecstatic to put money in the middle. My opponent's never going to have any bluffs here. The only one real bluff that can possibly make sense is a hand like 5-6 suited with like a backdoor combo draw. But outside of that, just not a whole lot of stuff makes sense. His hand is pretty face up. It's like a queen jack or king queen or queen 10 holding where he's going to try to get a little bit of value. And to be honest, like only king queen can even bet this river, I think, all that often. So when it's on me, I actually don't mind considering turning my hand into a bluff. It's like a reasonable shout in this situation because he's pretty capped, honestly, to just a single pair, or I guess a 2-pair holding. He shouldn't all that often with this specific sizing have a hand like ace 4 or ace deuce suited. I think those hands are going to probably 3-bet bluff pre-flop. So I don't know, seems like all pretty stupid jargon. Hard to apply any type of concrete skill and strategy when you're opening queen 6 offsuit pre-flop. But here we are, putting fuel to the fire. I make the call and our opponent shows king queen off, so disaster of a hand, but gotta be real and honest with myself. Just expect better, and that's not it. After making that pretty egregious mistake in the last hand, we don't even have enough time before the next hand gets dealt, and it's a pretty interesting one. Early position makes it 21,000. I'm in middle position, or late position I should say, with ace 8 of clubs. Against this specific stack size, he has right around 2-1 big blinds to start the hand. I think a 3-bet probably makes a little bit more sense than just flat calling here. I'd rather take the reins in the hand, and it just makes more sense to me. I decide to 3-bet to 50,000, folds back to him, and he pretty quickly goes all in. This is where the biggest mistake, believe it or not, of this entire tournament occurs. It isn't in fact losing with that last hand, raising a pretty bad hand. It's right now. I ask him what the chip count is, and he says 180k, so a little less than I had initially anticipated. Not a problem. Deep in my stack, and I think I still have about 350k. I've already put 50,000 in the middle. I'm just thinking like, hey, it's not that much more for me to call. I've already put in like a third of this guy's stack. Like at worst, we're gonna have 35-40%, and it's not the end of the world. Like I messed up. I put so much money in the middle. We should like, we're kind of forced to call here, unfortunately, especially because he raised with less than I thought. The problem with that situation is I had way less than I thought. My chips were stacked in 15s and 10s and not 20s for some reason. Huge lapse in judgment. I had significantly less chips than I actually had, and I'm talking like I had like 75,000 less than I thought. I thought I had 350k. I actually had 250k. So kind of a disaster there in every single way of the word. Just a huge lapse in judgment. I 3-bet to a non-all-in sizing when I was under 25 big blinds and still called it off with a bad hand, which is obviously what we end up doing, and that's why I'm upset at myself. With an opportunity for us to hopefully win, as it comes out queen, queen, 3. The turn card comes a king, so I win with any ace, any king, but the river card is a jack. So we don't improve. Obviously, frustrated with myself, and back-to-back hands, we pretty much go from second biggest stack at our table to now by far and away the smallest stack. So we got to figure something out quick. A few hands later, I take my time. I'm patient. I'm sitting with 73,000 chips under the gun. I peel back the ace of spades. That's good enough for me to go all in pretty much with anything here now that I have 7 big blinds. I pretend to look at my next card. You guys can obviously see it, but it's still a surprise to me. I go ahead and go all in for 73,000. Middle position ends up calling, and we're going heads up to a race. We flip over our hand, and would you believe it, we have ace frickin' king. We're up against ace jack here. The flop comes out, not improving either one of us, and it's all black cards, which we like. The turn card is an ace, so we pretty much locked up this hand. Just got to fade a 6%er, and luckily we do. The river card is a brick, and just like that, we were out of it. We were completely counting our early exit. But luckily for us, we end up doubling up in a huge spot to allow us the opportunity to continue on in this day 2. A few hands pass where I'm unfortunately set to pay the big blind, and now I find myself in the small blind with 5,000 chips out there and about 143 or 140k-ish behind. Action, by some grace of the poker gods, folds to me in the small blind, and with about 14 big blinds, we look down at queen 9 offsuit. A few hands pass where I'm unfortunately set to pay the big blind, and now I find myself in the small blind with 5,000 chips out there and about 143 or 140k-ish behind. Action, by some grace of the poker gods, folds to me in the small blind, and with about 14 big blinds, we look down at queen 9 offsuit. I'm not going to defend this play good, bad, indifferent. I'm not good enough to know the exact answer, but I almost guarantee that a hand like this is good enough to go all in with. Our hand is not doing awful when we get called. We shouldn't be dominated all that often. And the good thing about a hand like this is usually we get better hands to fold. We can get maybe pocket deuces, pocket threes to fold, pocket fours to fold, and obviously queen jack isn't loving their life either. Queen 10 isn't loving their life either. Those are all good spots for us to get to fold, and more importantly, we just win a lot because they can't call that often. Unfortunately, this is a tricky spot for our opponent as he goes deep into the tank, hoping to get this obviously through, and if not, if he calls us with a hand like even pocket eights, a hand that strong, we're still racing again. So it's not the end of the world, just hoping to either win the hand by taking the chips down pre-flop, which will help our stack a great. The turn makes it even more difficult for us to end up with the winner as it gives our opponent a flush draw, and the river ends up giving him that flush. We end up losing this hand. Frustration is definitely settling in. Don't know what to make of the situation, so I'm gonna let this decompress, and I'll talk to you guys here in a second in person after I've had a chance to think things over.
Hey everybody. So obviously we've had a little bit of time to kind of let everything sink in. It's now a couple hours removed from the tournament. Gonna talk a little bit about what happened and kind of my thought process. Had the chance to call my dad. Yeah, not really for the tournament related, but just to like clear my mind. Yesterday was the first time in a really long time where I played poker and I just felt like I was dancing, is what I told my father. Felt like I was like an artist. Like when I was supposed to zig, I always zigged. When I was supposed to zag, I always zagged. Obviously, it helps when you crack aces with pocket kings on the first hand that you play. But outside of that, we didn't make a single mistake. We were just playing so well. And then fast forward to today, I felt like I was trying to drive 200 miles an hour. Like I was invited to the Formula One track in Monaco, but I decided to show up there with a 1987 Toyota Celica. But I tried to go 225 miles an hour for whatever reason. It's not possible, you know? And it's a really bad, hopefully that analogy makes sense, but obviously I just don't think I was all there. I wasn't into it. Like the Queen 6 hand was a disaster. Everything was really a disaster. I feel like that was the worst poker I think I've ever played in my life. Granted, I don't know, I'm 99% positive that the Queen 9 shove there is totally standard for the amount of big blinds I have, but outside of that, I don't think we played very well. We played awful. Well, what am I talking about? But anyways, don't need it to get like gloomy or like bad, you know, like it is what it is. We move on. Yeah, was kind of an unfortunate day, but definitely one that we needed. Our ego needed that. I think mentally I needed that. I kind of just needed to see something, and I'm lucky that it's going to happen in a small tournament like that. To be honest, in all the other tournaments we've played to this point, haven't even had a chance to play bad. I just, for the most part, I kept busting with the best hand, and obviously it wasn't the best hand by the river, but nothing to really learn from that. You know, you just kind of keep getting hit in the face, and today I just played so bad. And you got to learn from that. You got to move on. So I really like playing these tournaments. They've been a ton of fun. But I think the cash game streets are calling me again. So you'll be seeing me hopefully on the Hustler Casino Live within the next couple videos or so. But that's kind of the plan right now. That's kind of where my headspace is at. And for now, I'm just super, I'm at peace with everything that's going on. Obviously a big spot. It's always a nice feeling when you make a deep run like that. So I don't even know, I think we were in top 500 or something out of like 5,500 people that whatever showed up to play this event. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, today was a good day outside of the fact that we got destroyed, but definitely a lot to learn. And that's what matters to me the most. So I appreciate you guys for watching these videos. Stay happy, stay healthy. More importantly, we're good at the tables, y'all. Have a wonderful day. Deuces.